empty hearts and neon lights. They're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. La 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 la, oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now.
I thought I had it figured out. Believed in us, we were meant to be, no doubt. A teenage love, everybody else could see the way we were, living in a fantasy. When I kissed her, I don't know where we going. I don't know at all. I don't know how we growing. I'll be moving on. I'll be moving on. Gotta let it go.
All right, my friends. Welcome, welcome. How we doing, everybody? All right, just gonna settle in here for a minute. Get started here in a second. Just gonna chill. Say what up. My dog had the zoomies a second ago, and now he's laying down, so hopefully he's gonna go to sleep. But if all of a sudden there's just chaos in the background, it's my puppy. I don't know what was going on with him earlier, but I normally take him on a walk in the morning, and then he's pretty content to sleep while I work normally. But today he's just been gassed up, zooming. All right, guys. Let's click some buttons. Let's do this, do that. A couple of things. That's the wrong button. There we go. All right, guys. So hopefully the sound is good. Let me know if the sound is not good. I will adjust it. I feel like the background music needs to be turned down a tiny bit. We'll do that real quick. Like. All right. We're gonna lock in here in a minute and do our run through. We'll address Bitcoin. We'll look at macro markets in general. Go over medium time frame plans. Then we'll probably look at altcoins and then kind of just see where the stream takes us from there. Woke up with a pretty bad headache today. Second cup of coffee seems to be doing wonders because I am feeling a little bit better. Made it like 20 minutes ago and it's starting to do its job. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything like that along the way, just by all means just throw it in the chat and we'll do our best to cover it. Big shout out to Coinbase. Thank you to them for sponsoring the stream. As always, it's a badge of honor in my opinion to be affiliated with one of the more reputable brands in the space, if not the most reputable. So cheers everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Press like if you have not already. So one of the main themes of today is going to be capitulation. We're clearly in a capitulation stage. Not all capitulation that exists in markets comes from them nuking 40%. You could have a slow bleed over a long period of time, and that essentially has essentially the same exact result as you just nuking 40% in one day. So right now, I think that it's definitely quitting season for most people. Having traded for as long as I have now, I don't even know how many years I've been in crypto, like 9 years now. I've seen many a cycle come and go, many instances where people are flooding the space and, moments like now where they're just, evacuating. So to me, this is just a part of the same kind of pattern that we always go through. I actually really love the idea right now that a bunch of people are quitting as we're setting up for bigger picture plans to play out. So yeah, I think, keep your head up. If you're feeling down about things, by all means throw it in the chat because maybe it'll help me cover that from an educational standpoint. But personally, I feel really good about things. The sentiment that you're going to see on your timeline, very, very different from how I feel. I feel very optimistic. I love that the sentiment is negative. I love that we're deep into price and time capitulation, and that's pretty much where we're at. So I'll go ahead and start it up here. But by all means, if you guys have any questions, thoughts, etc., especially jokes, make sure you drop them in the chat. Okay, so just running through a little bit of macro. Starting off, no dramatic changes, right? Same macro plans have been playing out. We're gonna do a 1, 2, 3 real quick. Before you make fun of how ugly that is, I'm left-handed, and that's drawn with my right hand. So eat shit. All right, point number 1. Uptrend, right? This is the argument we've been making for a long time, right? The trend has been, very strong, and it's clearly momentum on the macro time horizon is to the upside. So you want to be a trend respecter at the core of everything. The point number 2 that we've been yapping about a lot was the summertime seasonality, right? Summertime seasonality, summertime chop, cyclicality, seasonality, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? It's all the same stuff, right? That is coming to an end now, right? Q3 is right around the corner, and I think that the summertime chop stage is about to be over, right? So what you're seeing right now, I really do think is setting you up for big picture play. Point number 3 is going to be just, capitulation, right? This is the the stage where, I don't even understand how this is a price capitulation point, but the sentiment that you're seeing around everyone calling for the top and stuff, right? It tells me that this is a version of capitulation. I definitely get how this is time capitulation. This year has been really rough for people that weren't patient. You've essentially only had really one or two really good setups, right? Like the 75K long that we caught was probably the only actual good long setup of the entire year, right? And then, if you were hedged going into the tariff news, right? But outside of those two moves, which I played, those are the only two moves, right? So I understand kind of why it's been painful, but, the markets just, if you take a step back and realize that the majority of the markets are not going to be, these momentum periods, right? The majority of it is going to be making people quit with lack of momentum and stuff. So those are the main macro talking points. I don't have any updates that are worth mentioning. I've been yapping about this for, an eternity now. I hope that, this is something I talk about in the Paragon a lot. I hope that some of you public viewers are noticing this idea as well, right? That you just don't see me changing my macro plans up all the time, right? The plans more or less stay the same. Maybe there will be a position, a time where I, move my portfolio around to be more risk, on or less risk on, right? But the plans and everything, you really don't see a whole lot of changes. And, for lower time frame stuff, right, you want to be a flip-flopper, right? You want to be pick whatever team is winning in this exact moment. But for the bigger picture stuff, I really think you need to just be like a dumbass almost, where you just are just resiliently optimistic, right? And I think that that's the most rewarding style. Okay, guys, we'll pause and check chat here in a second, and then we'll run through some more thoughts. Kind of want to yap about price levels next on macro, and then we'll work our way down. Nice joke, Charlie. You're officially old for that one. Just wondering how you managed to get the value area high and value area low of 2025 and 2024, if it's from TPO. These are all from VWAPs. I'm cooked. We dox as lefty now. The Fed's got me. Do you not think we are in a period of momentum loss after a big run-up? 100%, right? What are you defining as a big run up, right? Are you talking about 75K to 120K big run up? Are you talking about 30K to where we're at now, right? Look at the fucking pattern that's playing out in front of you guys, right? Up, range, up, failure point. Yeah, I'm super aware of the idea that this is not the strongest impulse outside of the range. I just don't care. I don't care. And I don't feel like I don't even want to put the effort into trying to defend these positions, guys, because I just don't care enough if other people are going to join the bull team with me. It's that simple. So, this entire trend up, I've dealt with a lot of skepticism, and people are always trying to tell me why it's not going to work and why it is, and why it's not going to work, why it's over soon, blah blah blah. That's been happening for the entire cycle. Eventually there's going to be a time when I'm going to be wrong, and price will turn around, but I'm pretty confident that it's not going to happen when everybody on the timeline's calling for it and stuff, right? It's a pretty dumb argument on my end, but that's something I've advocated for a long time, right? There's really no sense in trying to be super smart with these kind of bigger picture things. Sure, I could make all these arguments about the macro situation and back my arguments up that way, but I'd rather just take a step back and say number is going up. It's been going up for a while, so I'm just going to keep betting on that continuation, yeah? Just for devil's advocate's sake, right? The argument, smart arguments are around, potential monetary policy changes. I know everybody's aware of that nowadays. I don't personally care too much. I think the most relevant talking point, right, is just, the administration changeover in the U.S., right, and there's the constant demand coming from ETFs and from DATs, right? Your average person on CT, they haven't mattered for years in terms of buying pressure, and that's only become much more extreme recently, right? Because the buying pressure, it's just coming from a different class of participant. So we'll digress. All right, let's run through some more stuff. Magus feels like there's way too many people in crypto who are obsessed with small time frames. Any 1% move is a nuke, overreaction, and there's a lack of higher time frame analysis beyond the daily. I mean, I can't necessarily speak to what everyone else is doing that much, because my approach is to not really pay a whole lot of attention. But yeah, I mean, you want to know the real answer as to why a lot of the times social media reacts the way it does. It's because when price moves, your average person, you're 99 out of 100 of us, we go to Twitter and we like look for what happened, right? And if you're one of these influencers that, makes your money from, doing seed deals and doing all this bullshit that we all have come to, you guys have all come to understand nowadays, I'm incentivized if I'm one of those people to just like go on and do anything to get you to pay attention to me. So if price went down 1%, I'm going to go on, I'm going to write a thread about how that nuke just liquidated all these people, and I'm so confident the cycle top is in, because it makes you fucking read it. You know what I mean, right? And that's what like a lot of these people's goal is, to just keep your attention. So that's what my thoughts are with why social media, people on social media react that way. Either A, they're really that impulsive and emotional, or B, they're trying to bait other people into being impulsive and emotional. That's the real answer, right? Out of every day where there's a volatile move, we go up or we go down, the number of out of 365 days in a year, you're maximum going to see me freak out about a move once a year. I feel like that's probably euphoria, if anything. All right, we'll move on. I'm trying to time the chop. What do you think a good level to buy is? As it stands, I think I'm going to cover the medium time frame plan shortly, which is going to talk about like actual price levels and stuff here. But essentially, I think we're probably going to move back in the direction of the local lows. So I think like 107 is probably a really good buy opportunity. I will cover my setups on medium time frame when we get there. BTC, ETH, SOL, great standard cycle rotations. BTC dominance breaking down was memed for months. Finally broke down a month ago. Nobody cares. I can't speak too much to as to why that would be the case, man. I can't say. Quick Doge scan. Don't worry, we'll cover Doge when we get to altcoins. I want to stay in order. From 75 to 125. Yeah. So 100%, bro. I mean, what you're saying though, bro, you're already too late, right? You're already too late to what you're talking about, pretty much, because you're saying that from here to here, the momentum loss is present, right? Because this is a weak move, and it rounded out, and it's clearly interacting way too much with the previous range. You're valid, right? But if you wanted to hedge or de-risk, I mean, you're almost too late, because I think that this is going to be the bottom probably. So yeah, the momentum loss already played out, but you got to you got to recognize that much earlier than today, No problem, brother. I don't mind explaining stuff. I don't know what the hell you're saying, Bathwater Basin. I don't know what soy for natto even is, brother, so. Everyone sounds tired, feels like a set stink bids and walk away for a week. I can't speak for everybody. I'm tired, but that has nothing to do with markets. I'm tired because I work a lot, and I've been grinding pretty hard from a work standpoint all year long, so I'm tired from that. I wouldn't consider myself tired from markets. This is what's happened this year is not in any way really dissimilar for what has happened the past few years. So all this chop and stuff has been more or less expected. Could I have predicted the price points or whatever? Obviously not. But the idea of lack of momentum in Q3, pretty much a given. Any thoughts on ETH? We'll cover ETH when we get there. Don't worry. I'm going to go in order, guys. I don't want to skip around. I want to stay focused up, especially since my brain capacity is kind of weak right now with the headache. Been trading 4 years now. Holy my eyes just fucking blurred out trying to read that question. Let's start over. Where'd it go? Been trading for 4 years now. Finally quit my job to trade full time. Let's go, brother. Good for you, man. Good for you. I'm already starting to feel the pressure on your advice. Look, It's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie to you, right? I quit my job in the beginning of 2020, and the year that followed was really, really stressful. So it just is what it is. I'm not going to lie to you and say that it's going to get easy. The best thing that you can do to alleviate the pressure is have some level of success in trading. So hopefully, you know, we get some juice in Q4. You maybe experience some growth during that stage, and that will make you feel less pressured. Ultimately, though, guys, like, you know, when you quit your job and you don't have any income streams and your only way of making money is trading, which is really ill-advised in my opinion most of the time, it's just going to be a high-pressure lifestyle, you know? And the only way to get out from under that pressure is to perform, which is like very much a cyclical argument, right? Chicken or the egg type of bullshit, because, you know, the pressure's holding you back from performing. I understand, but you gotta find a way to push through it. Combination of hard work and luck, and hopefully you get carried through. Living in the attention economy, can't afford to forget that. Indeed, indeed. Can't afford to forget God. A lot of motherfuckers need God out there. That is the truth. A lot of people need God in their lives. Way too many people are just floating around in the nether all on their own. They need some guidance. Okay, you expected summer chop, which was not happened. You expect summer chop, which was not happened. I would say it definitely has happened. Just because Q2 had more momentum than normal doesn't mean that this isn't summertime chop. I think that this year played out differently a little bit because, you know, we just saw prices depreciate a lot faster than they normally would have. I think that if it wasn't for the tariffs, that the range would have probably looked more like this, right, without having this massive deviation. So that's probably why, my argument for why there was so much momentum in Q2 was just around the tariff, you know, response. What did you actually ask, though? Do you expect a fast crash to reset the market? No. No, I haven't said anything like that. I wouldn't. A fast crash will happen one day. None of you guys should ever be waiting for fast crashes, because as time goes on in crypto, if this is time, and then this is the number of crashes, who in the chat can guess what the fuck I'm gonna say right now, right? The number of crashes in the market is gonna go down over time as the market matures. If you look back, like if you traded crypto for a long time, you're like a crash expert, you know, like a fucking, so many of my trades have been based around crashes. But as time goes on, this is gonna be the case. Yes, there's 100% gonna be another crash one day, 100%, right? But if you sit there and worry about the crash, you're just never gonna make money, guys. So just don't think about that stuff too much, and just try to survive it when it does come. But for real, it's a really simple lesson, but the market's gonna become more liquid, more efficient, you know, and you should not expect things to, you know, move the way that they once did, right? You know, these kind of moves that we used to know in the past, you know, this kind of nuke, you know, this, you know, the May 2021 nuke, right? This nuke, like, yeah, they're just not going to happen as frequently as time goes on. Please take note on that, guys. I feel so dumb. Made some money trading perps. Now I have burnt that money trading this choppy Solana and Doge price action. Take a step back, you know, and just try to frame things in an optimistic light. Try to figure out what you could have done better. You know, it's the same kind of answer to anything. Look, man, I feel for you. You ran up an account and you bled it. We all go through that. I've done that so many times, you know. Can't even count that high because I can't count past 10. But you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move forward, brother. That's just what trading is. You're gonna, you know, you gotta learn, go back and review what mistakes led you to that drawdown. You know, for example, based off what you said, a lot of that probably has to do with the lack of environment recognition, right? Understanding what environment you're in and then deploying the right strategy is really important. So maybe you could have recognized that the chop was here and, you know, been more aggressive about taking profit, or been, you know, more, you know, strict about when you entered or something like that. I guess what I'm asking is, the period of cool off is enough for the 75 to 125 move compared to the April dump. I'm not going to cross compare them in that way. I do think that the argument, look guys, I'm going to cover this in medium time frame when we get there, I promise you. I think that the argument for this potentially being the bottom is valid. I'm going to discuss all the ins and outs of that when we get there. Don't worry. That is the next section we will be covering. All right, let me just get through the last questions and then we'll do medium time frame. But don't worry, that's a really high priority for me to cover what you just asked. Are you related to Pivot? I don't know who that is, so no. Is one of my family members a streamer or something? What are you trying to say? Can you share what hard looks like? You don't share. That's a. I don't think any of you guys care about stuff like that. What does hard work look like? It's different for all of us. How I view working is really different than how it was back in the day. A lot of you guys probably think in a very linear way. Like I work 4 hours and I get paid X amount, right? Because you guys have jobs. But as time goes on, you have to move away from that, especially once you don't have a job anymore. Because a lot of work, like if I do it like this, right? My work output might be steady, or like let's say like it's like this, right? Where I like work hard and I don't work hard. My production from that, like what I actually get as a product, might not necessarily line up with this, right? There might be periods where I work hard and have no progression, and then don't work hard and have progression, right? So I think that you want to reframe in your mind about how hard work and actual progress don't necessarily translate, or they're not necessarily like directly correlated. So what I'm trying to say is there's lots of periods where I'm doing things that are work that are, not always trading, right? Sometimes just thinking through things is work. Going on a walk and thinking through what are my next steps? What am I supposed to do? How do I fix this? Blah, blah, blah. So, to answer the question in a more traditional route, a lot of the times hard work for me, I wake up early. I'm up at 4 a.m. Most days. I'm working by 4:30 already. Work for me is, managing, positions and trades first. Then comes kind of the social side of like clearing out my DMs and answering questions and doing outlooks and all sorts of shit. Working hard for me is putting like a solid 6-7 hours a day of actual work. Now that doesn't mean you clock in at your job and then you're chilling, you do whatever. I mean like 6 hours of actual like hard work, right? That's kind of how I view that. I don't think like how much time you put in doesn't necessarily matter, right? It's about how much is accomplished, right? What are you getting done? How I work nowadays, I could get a lot more. I could work for 3-4 hours and get done what 5 years ago would have taken me days to do, just because I've kind of figured things out a little more. So we'll digress from that. It's an interesting question. I don't think too many of you care though. Another thing I've noticed is everyone in crypto is full of PTSD and scared of crashes. Well, that's just how she goes. They're hard to get through, But listen to, guys, I've been through so many crashes, and then listen to how I talk about optimism and, how to view the long term and all these kind of things, right? I've been through the worst crash that crypto has probably ever had, and I lost a lot of money during this. I know when you look at this, you're just like, buddy, that's a fucking crash for ants, right? Because, the chart looks crazy nowadays, but this was a fucking big deal, right? Anybody that was here knows. There's probably never been anything like this in crypto. Maybe there won't ever be, There probably will be with enough time, but yeah, you guys need to just stop caring about the nukes and start caring about the, the pumps. Decreasing returns and decreasing volatility. Tim, I don't know what you're replying to, man. Give me some more context and I could answer. 12 alter ego accounts. 5K to 50K in 1 year. How many trades with some losing? Only a couple. How many you're saying, asking how many trades would I need to go from 5K to 50 in a year? A year is a long time for me to do that. So I really don't know how to answer that one, because my most honest answer I want to give you is that, for me, that's not the same thing, because I don't give a, like, if I go from 5 to 50, I don't care at all, right? So that would be basically super easy for me just because I don't care. It's not going to affect me in any way to do that. Maybe I'll get some likes on Twitter for running up a sub account, right? It's not going to change anything for me. So I would do that, you know. I hate to sound like a LARP about it, but if I was to aim for that, I think I could do it quickly because it just doesn't matter to me. I think to reframe that question, let's say like how do you 10x account in a year? Let's take a step back and say it like that instead of specific numbers, because that specific numbers are fucking me up. So how do you 10x account in a year? Look, that's the honest answer. Yeah, you can systematically trade your way, but I don't think 10x in a year like is in the realm of realistic performance. In order to have 10x performance as from an actual trading standpoint, like go and trade a perp to that in that way, you're gonna have to take so much risk to where any one of your trades could blow you up. So I've had years where I've had that kind of performance, and it's only been because, you know, it's been compounding multiple types of wins into one another, right? So I had 10x performance in 2021. I know that you look at the chart and you're just like, wow, it was actually kind of a choppy year, but this was just the godsend year. The way that I was able to do that was one trade cannot do it, right? It was compounding multiple trades. It's because I got on the right side of Bitcoin very early, and then at the very beginning of the trend, I went long DeFi, and then I rotated my DeFi profits after we were ramped up for many months, rotated my DeFi profits into metaverse plays in the summertime, and then metaverse plays went up, right? So that's, if you want to have outsized growth, you have to have a win that you roll over into the next high conviction play and then win on that one, right? And that's how you 10x. I mean, I feel really uncomfortable answering this question because I feel like I just gave some bad advice to somebody who's just going to go and fucking send it and lose it all. But that's probably the best way for me to answer it, right? There's no real instance where I'm ever going to have some massive 10x performance on my port without, I have to compound win into win into win to have that kind of growth. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. But for me, you know, it's just not there. The realm of possibility for some of you guys of buying a meme coin and having a 10x, that's in the realm of possibility. I don't buy memes like that, right? I trade large caps. So the only way to large cap your way to that kind of growth is to literally just have insane wins snowballed into one another until you get there. What happened to Maker? All right, when was the Dalai Lama? When was the last Dalai Lama? This price action's boring. Probably this one. June. We had 2 in June. What up, mental? Work hard in between trades and manage positions. Not sure how to balance working hard and trying too many things. It's a valid question, brother. You just gotta, you know, that's just you spend time experimenting with things until you figure out what you can and can't add in. What kind of high time frame structure breaks would you be looking at in order to invalidate your macro thesis? So I covered this in one of the more recent outlooks. You know, I don't really believe in price invalidations, so I'm not going to really present too much of a price argument. The most honest thing I can tell you is it's going to be a gut feel thing. It's not going to be a 1 + 1 = 2. So now it's time to de-risk. It's going to be a, oh fuck, like things didn't really go that well and things look worse, right? So right now we have downtrend structure on the medium time frame. I'm expecting that this is going to round out and become the local bottom. And basically, if that doesn't, you know, take place, then I think that we're going to go a lot lower. So I'm kind of tired of saying the same shit on these streams all the time, guys. My thesis is basically almost not by the time my thesis gets invalidated, price will be down a fuck ton. So I'm not going to invalidate my you know, I don't care about invalidating my thesis as a reason to cut my trades or to de-risk my port. I have preached this for a long time. I believe in the separation between thesis and positional risk. My positional risk would probably get invalidated if I thought we were going to lose like 105, something like that, maybe 100. If I thought we were going to lose, you know, these kind of regions down here, then maybe my portfolio would get shifted in a more defensive skew. My thesis isn't invalidated though until we lose like 90 or even 85. But that's so much drawdown in the meantime that you can't wait. So, I mean, I've taught this lesson before many times and I have videos on it in the Paragon, right? Thesis and positional risk cannot be the same thing on high time frame, because by the time you recognize that your macro thesis is wrong, you're already down 40%, you know, and you're in a fucking bear market. So you gotta be preemptive with these kind of things. If you want a better answer, go watch 2 outlooks ago on YouTube where I covered that question. We are out here, Cryptoski. That would be hard as hell, steadily sizing up to do that unless you're already comfortable trading those sizes already. 100%, Charles. So like what I just talked about of, you know, compounding wins into wins. I think that, you know, this is going to take, it's going to take some combination of luck, preparation, and stupidity. Luck is required with trading on some level. Now, a lot of people out there in the trading verse are gonna get real buttered about that because no, I have edge in my system. Right? It doesn't matter. Fuck all that shit. At the end of the day, I could have the strongest edges that have ever existed in a market, and there's still a world that exists where I lose the trade, right? So there's still a luck element, even when you're taking the best setups that exist. Preparation, right? That's all the skills, that's the experience, all the work that goes into it before you ever take the setup. And then a little bit of stupidity. If you want to be able to go from 100K to now it's 500K to now it's 1.5 or something like that, if you want to have that kind of, like, you got to be kind of dumb, you know, a little bit. I look back to how I managed my positions and the kind of sizing that I traded in 2021, and now I think, like, I was pretty dumb back then. But that was required to have the growth. Nowadays, I would be a risk-adverse pussy compared to that. But in 2021, I used to trade full stack, boys. Like, people don't really realize that I used to trade literally full stack in 2021. Not that I actually had my full stack on an exchange, but I would use leverage and get the full stack size. I don't even remember what the original question was. Yeah, it's, you know, in order to do that sizing up, you got to be a little bit stupid, because if you got to either be, if you want to size up, you either need to be dumb or giga smart. Dumb, and I put a B. Holy fuck, it's pretty clear what category I belong in, right? If you're a midwit, you will never scale. You got to be really dumb or really smart. The people in the middle are just going to overthink everything, and they're just going to be a pussy about it. So I always try to just shove myself in the direction of being stupid, because I think it's, you know, between the two, between being giga smart and being stupid, which is easier for me to achieve? Clearly, it's easier for me to be stupid, right? So there you go. All right, just gonna read through chat, and then we will. Got some tisms in the chat for sure. On Minx, I mean, I can look at it. I don't really want to though, but I'll do this. What the fuck's the ticker? MYX? I can't read chat, guys. My fucking eyeballs. MYX. We'll come back to it. Whoa. Interesting looking scam. All right, let me finish up the rest of the chat and then we'll move on. Let's see, what do we got? You're a bull-tard, Jaggers, but it's all good. Would you agree that price is the best indicator? I don't know how to answer that one, you know? Like, most the indicators that you use are derived from price. So, in that regard, yes, like, you know, VWAP is going to come from price. But I don't really like the idea of using price, you know, as, like, my determining factors for stuff. Rather, you know, I wouldn't argue that I have edge from, you know, candlestick in any way. Bring back the CS streams. Is VWAP your primary indicator for momentum? I guess. I don't really consider VWAP a momentum indicator anyway, but I guess. CS streams mark the bottom. Fadi, I think that's how you say your name. Like, I don't care about other people's takes on tops and stuff like that, you know? I'm, you know, kind of friends with both of those guys, but I have my approach. And I mean, a lot of you guys haven't followed me for that long to know what I sound like when I'm bearish. In 2022, you know, I flipped bearish November 2021 and stayed bearish all of 2022 until the very, very end of the year, where I started to question things a little bit more. I'll sound very different. I will sound pessimistic and stuff, I guess, or negative, whatever you want to call it, whenever that time comes. But I just do my own thing. I'm not sure if it's intentional when to sign up for Paragon discount code. It's only available. It's not available when using crypto. Yeah. WAP does not let you use. You cannot make discount codes for crypto payments. So the only way that we can ever discount them is we actually just mark the entire price down, so there's no discount code. But yeah, the way that WAP is set up, it's impossible to have a discount code for crypto payments. That's why. Holding placeholder image, not the chart. I definitely shouldn't be, bro. You gotta refresh your chart, your stream or something. Aren't you supposed to be resting? I am. There's a level of work. Like I never stop working fully, but I'm in chill mode right now. You know, when I'm done with this stream, I'll probably hit up the gym a little bit and then just, you know, kind of chill during the rest of the day. I'm not gonna be working excessively hard. I'm doing like 4 hours a day right now of work max. It's really important to let yourself. Nobody wants to hear this, guys, but if you're all work, no play all the time, you're gonna burn yourself out. You won't last in this, you know, as a trader. So you got to let yourself unwind, chill, do things that are, you know, not trading related sometimes. Like next month, I've got a vacation planned with some friends, for example. You got to do stuff like that. Seeing so much doom on the timeline talking about markets and the dollar, haven't really looked into it. What do you think? I don't care. There you go, you know? I just don't care that much. The doom. Here's all. I said this earlier, guys. I love seeing the doomerisms, right? I love, you know, if my plan is for us to chop people up and let people capitulate and then go higher, I love seeing collective doomerisms and top calling. You know, when Ansem's writing threads about how it's a top, we love to see that, right? I honestly would suspect that Ansem probably doesn't even think that, and he's just engaged in baiting or maybe trying to get people to flip sentiment or some shit. I don't know. Bathwater. Seek the Lord. Magus is the only. Why am I a level to level me matey? How did I get boxed into that? It's actually pretty valid. No, I didn't block Lucifer. There's no way. The only people that have mod are Doc and Lear, I think. I don't even know how to block people in chat, you know. He didn't get blocked. He's just gone. He probably just turned the stream off. What do you think about open interest? For the record, I can't move on from that. I'm not blocking any of you guys if you're yapping hard, right? If you're like going crazy in the chat, I'm not gonna block you over that, you know. Only if you like really cross the line and you're just straight up rude to like other viewers or something like that, maybe. If you just come in with absolutely poor taste and you just like don't read the room properly, then maybe you'll get blocked. But like we're not throwing out blocks all the time. What do you think about the open interest still at all-time high? I don't think about these things that much, guys. I haven't even looked in a while. Is this even worth acknowledging? Let's see. Let's let it load. I'll keep reading while this loads. Jesus, fellow. What's going on here? Oh, it's just not meant to be for some reason. I don't know why it won't load the OI. Alright. Why is it so easy to get carried away and make the same dumb trading mistakes you told yourself you won't? Any advice for that? This is probably a really good question. I'm gonna do my best to cover this to the best I can. It requires some nuance, kind of a difficult one. So let's see. Let's see here, guys. Let's see. It's realistically not that hard after you fuck up to recognize what you did. I cut my trade too early. I cut my trade too late. I put too much size on when I wasn't confident. I didn't put enough size on, right? Any of these kind of simple things. You should probably be able to take a step back and then say what you did right or wrong, right? Pretty straightforward. That's the easy part. Retraining your brain is going to be the hard part. So let me give you a good example that maybe comes to mind here. What comes to mind for me with this idea is when I really wanted to get good at scalping, you know, I think I really hit my stride and probably peaked out on my scalping career in 2023. And, you know, one of the most important things about scalping is that when price is doing this, you have to train yourself to not be bullish when price goes up, but be bearish when price goes up, and when price goes down to be bullish and not be bearish, right? What your brain immediately does is, oh, price just went up, I'm bullish. Price just went down, oh, it's gonna keep going down, right? But for lower time frame, you have immediately, oh fuck, like this long is working out really well, I should buy more, right? No, immediately take half off or close it out fully or whatever, right? So the idea of when Bitcoin goes up 5% and you're euphoric, training yourself to maybe take profit in that moment. So it's really just about being able to take a step back, recognize what's going on in your brain, and, you know, having some level of introspection, I guess, is what it comes down to, right? Far too few of us practice any level of mindfulness in our lives, and that's got to be the answer for all this stuff, right? You want to correct or change behaviors. It's the only answer is going to be through internal reflection, and then maybe kind of reworking your dopamine source. So something that can be great is, you know, delayed satisfaction or delayed gratification rather, and then kind of controlling what your rewards are. So set yourself up for rewards, you know, guys. You know, say I did this and I hit my goals, so I'm gonna be able to, I can be lazy today and go and do something that I know I shouldn't do, but I'm gonna go do it anyways, right? I'm just spitballing out bullshit, right? But this is where the answers are found. I timed someone out for the first time for spamming tickers. Well, they deserved it probably. I'd be surprised to see that Lear blocked you. It could be that YouTube, you know, there is a YouTube AI in the chat, you know, that blocks your asses. So maybe you said some shit that YouTube didn't like. I don't think I can read that out loud, but no, you can say that 100%. It's not bannable. Listening to Agar on my phone at work. Am I cooked? You're cooked. Confirmed. One tier list. I think Doc and I are gonna make a tier list just to upset Twitter. I think that's. I was listening to him talk about that on stream yesterday, and he was like mentioning like how everyone's gonna have, you know, negative blowback. So I'm gonna have to link up with him and make a stupid tier list just to upset everybody. All right, guys, finally caught up with chat. Let's go ahead and move over to medium time frame Bitcoin really quickly. So this is really important talking point. So everyone focus up. I'm gonna draw this on a fresh chart. Okay, never mind. We got the LARP chart inbound. Okay, so this is basically the idea, right? We built this range over here from May 25th to July. Oh, that's not dumb. From May 9th to July 8th. So basically a month-long range, and then we just did the same thing, basically built another month-long range. Basic idea right now for me is I think that, you know, this is the bottoming process that you're in right now. Essentially this stupid doodle right here, this one. The idea that it's going to be a rounding out process, that these initial spikes up that you're seeing, don't get it twisted and get caught away, you know, thinking that, oh, we're about to V back up and, you know, make all-time highs, right? You're still in Q3. So I think that you are destined to see us basically trade back in the direction of the local lows, from which I'm hoping we are going to continue to build out this range. I am probably going to be looking to long down in this region. Maybe there's a scenario where you maybe make like a clear higher high. Is there an empty chart somewhere? So instead of, it's either going to be just a clear range, or I could see what I was originally making the argument over here for is a structural shift. So you could see a scenario where this doesn't really come down and attack the lows, but like does reciprocal of this. So comes down, bounces, and then that would be one of these kind of structures, right? This is a pretty classic bottoming pattern. Here's the caveat though, guys, to all this. Local momentum is clearly to the downside right now, right? This is the first attempt to shift momentum we've had in a while. Ever since the all-time high, this is very much so a downtrend, right? Especially with that pop-up, blah, blah, blah. So this is the first time we've seen the momentum loss really take place. I am confident that that's what's going to occur. I think that if we start to really lose 107, that we'll probably trade into 105 quickly. If we lose 105, then I think that takes us all the way down to 90. But I really think that, yeah, that this is what we're setting up. So if this plays out, you know, I'll post about it on Twitter, and you know, we'll talk about how we're the best. That's kind of where I'm at, guys. If you have any questions about medium time frame, let me know. The main talking point is you're just waiting for this local downtrend to shift with a momentum loss pattern or a higher high. It's all dicks, boys. It's all dicks. It always was. Slightly arousing even. All right, guys. So I have officially concluded the main talking points for my Bitcoin rundown. You know, we've got a lot of boomerisms going on today, or this week. Tomorrow, PPI, Thursday, CPI. I would, you know, I don't really care too much about how these numbers come out, but I do like the idea that I think CPI is going to set me up for this long. So that's why I said on the Outlook on Monday, I feel like CPI is going to give us a long opportunity. So that's what I'm hoping for. Down to yap about some alts. So we'll talk about this one really quickly. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it really short and sweet and say, you know, what am I supposed to say about some scam coin, right? This is a cartel coin of the day. What am I supposed to say about this thing, you know? If you're having fun with it, you know, I'm happy for you. I won't be touching this thing, right? If I was to trade whenever I trade scam coins, I trade them from a scalping standpoint where I just like go with momentum. So, you know, buying VWAP retests, like that's the only play, right? You don't try to call top on this thing. The only selling you do is profit taking on longs. If this thing dips, you buy it. If it goes back up, you sell it. It's that simple. I don't even know what this coin is to give any real insight. Bitcom. This might date you, Doc, but for a long time we called it Bitcorn, and then we just called it corn and the corns. What do you think about the corn? We use the word corn all the time because I still feel uncomfortable using the word Bitcoin in public, but yeah, I used to say like corn all the time to people because it was a way for me to say Bitcoin in public without saying that cringe word where you're at dinner and you say Bitcoin and 3 tables look over like, look at this fucking virgin over here, you know. All right, Doge. Yeah, we can look at Doge. All right, so we like the dog coin. My port is super safe right now. Doge is the only meme that I've got right now. These are my main thoughts right now. I think you could see a pullback in the direction of like 22 cents to 21. I think Doge is a buy basically from where it's at all the way down to 20 cents. And yeah, my original doodle, this isn't the original drawing. The original drawing was like over here, and I basically said, you know, we'll leg up into this region, reject, range, leg up into another range, right? So that's where we're at right now. We're building out the first range from the initial leg. I am optimistic that Doge would be a good play. I don't think that, you know, it's necessarily the smartest argument of all time, but, you know, I like betting on memes when I think Bitcoin is going to go up. And if this thing's going to have, you know, additional buy pressure coming in from ETFs and maybe even some treasury DATs next, you know, we can run this bag up and I'll dump it on them. So that's the consensus, or not the consensus, that's the conclusion of the Doge. It's a good coin. If it dips, I think it's a reasonable buy. Your risk invalidation is pretty tight for something that's like a solid 10x kind of play. Because realistically, you know, my price points are, you know, targeting the local high that it sent last time, 50 cents basically, and then beyond that, you know, you have some pretty wild, you know, potential targets. You know, if this doesn't play out, you can clown me for it, but I don't. All we need is a good spark of momentum and some heat to come in on Doge, and if that was to be the case, trading up in the direction of $1 and front running it like 92 cents or something like that, I could totally see that. So looking forward to dumping all my Doge at 96 cents on everybody. Let's look at the boomers real quick. What's popping with the booms? SPX still looking insane. Gold making all-time highs again today. Gold looks monstrous. Pretty sad that my silver is down on a day when gold is up, but it is what it is. ETH has been an utter piece of shit recently. There's no doubt about that. Been super weak relative to Bitcoin, Doge, and Solana and stuff. So I have added to ETH from my original position, but I don't own an enormous amount of this. I have more Solana right now. I think Solana is the better play between the. I mean, look at the fucking charts, right? Solana looks pretty good right now, yeah. Obviously, relative strength, it hasn't made all-time highs recently or anything like that, but like structurally, this looks really good to just do a shallow dip and keep going higher, So we like the Solana. I'm not over here advocating for Solana being the hyper liquid of the world because it's probably not going to be, but it's a good coin. We'll talk about hype next. So I don't own any hype, but it's undeniable that it's a good coin. So yeah, I mean, I could see it dip a little bit more in the direction of like $51, and that'd be a buy here. All right, let's check chat. Do you think Bitcoin could run up faster? We have seen this year, the last bear bottom that things formed could round out faster. Absolutely. Like, all these possibilities are within the realm, of happening, right? What do you mean by faster, as in like the bottom's in now and then we just go up higher, right? I mean, either way, this is not a fast forming bottom, right? It's a slow forming bottom, right? No matter what, I don't really see a reality. It's not like we're just going to V back up from this, I think as we get into Q4, the likelihood of momentum returning increases exponentially. And if we open up the quarter, all right, Q3, you know, is chopped, almost borderline bearish at this point. If we open up the quarter and, you know, you see a rally at the start into a nuke, right, that's going to be a fucking buy. There you go. Thank you for answering. You are right about my brain telling me to long when price is going up, and I'm always turning bullish when it's sometime at the top of the range. 100%. I mean, I'm saying that from experience. You know, I had to learn to reframe my way of thinking on these kind of things and think not about what's happening now, but what happens next. And if prices went up a bunch, what happens next is it probably goes down. That's just a simple argument, right? Arbitrum. We can look at Arb. I haven't looked at Arbitrum in a minute. It doesn't look bad. I mean, your argument about it looking similar to Sol, it's not bad, but I mean, you know, then when we zoom out, is my main argument as to why I don't like this is going to be this, right? Solana looked like this in 2024, and then in 2025 it went up again, right? I mean, like, this is a weak coin. So I don't really have a super optimistic argument to make on any coins that are, you know, in these kind of downtrends, right? These multi-month, you know, multi-year downtrends, I don't fuck with them. It's that simple. Crude oil? You want me to look at oil? I never really chart oil. I don't even know if I have it on here. I don't. I never chart oil. I normally would just prefer to look at gold for the risk-off asset. Fart coin? So I'm pretty disinterested in Fart coin at the moment. This is what I drew on one of the recent streams for you. I think that Fart coin will be something that will probably be a monster performer in Q4, but timing is going to be essential, so you don't want to be early to this thing. I would say that you're patiently waiting for Bitcoin to transition in the risk-on direction before you want to buy up something like Fart. And whenever that happens, Fart coin will be a ripper probably. When you think Bitcoin social stigma goes away, generational type thing, I think that our generation, it will probably always be a little bit weird. And then as multiple generations pass, that will change. We don't really have anything to directly compare it against either. I think the social stigma, look guys, the social stigma for me isn't about not wanting, I said it's because, you know, I joked about being a virgin or whatever. It's not because don't want people to think I'm a nerd. I don't care about that. There's no reason to ever mention the word Bitcoin in public because I don't need to incentivize anybody to fucking create a conflict with me, try to steal from me, anything like that, right? If you tell people you have money, well, now they want it from you, right? I mean, if people think you're poor, they just leave you alone. I walk around like I'm poor for sure. You'd never know. Where's your TP on Doge? I covered some of the levels. I think 45 cents is one of the main levels I'll pay attention to. I'll look at the 70-cent level. I'll look at the dollar level. I might try to front run some of those with some of my selling as well. Talking crypto in public is incredibly cringe and embarrassing. Well, you know, seriously, so over here, when this happened, in this period, I actually had a couple of friends come over that I hadn't seen in a while, and one of them didn't know I traded crypto, and you know, I told him, and his response was, "Oh, like everything is a scam, right?" So for the average, like, you know, non-native, right, I think they really think everything's a scam. Like, they even think Bitcoin is a scam still. During this same period, too, it gave me more conviction in my 75K long when it came because I had my real-life friends that are dumbasses trying to spit facts about the economy to me, and it was like, oh, well, it's time to look to buy because they're talking about what's going down more. CRV and Pepe. I don't think we want to look at these coins, but we'll see. Okay, look at the high time frame chart on Curve. There you go. This thing hasn't even made a remotely, you know, it hasn't even tried to make a push since its inception. You know, a coin, the purpose of this coin is to enrich the founders, right? I don't think you want to fuck with this coin, guys. There's probably a bunch of people on your timeline getting paid to show it to you. I don't think I like Pepe too much right now either. I don't see the argument of why I want to play Pepe right now when I could just play Doge. Doge looks better and is a safer play. So there you go. I'd rather play Doge over this one. My stance on alts is that I don't care about any of them until Bitcoin shows strength. Till Bitcoin tells me it's time to bet, I don't care about any of these things pretty much, right? Hype is the only coin that has any justification for allocating to, right? Outside of what I already own. I'm looking to load up heavy on Circle sub 100. You see it going? I don't pay attention to this kind of stuff. I mean, could I see something that's at 117 go to 100? Like, for sure, bro, because it's super close. Yeah, hard for me to say. Like right now, it's clearly a very strong local downtrend, right? So to me, I would say that this thing is going to continue to go down. I think the evaluation on this thing got absolutely ridiculous as you had a bunch of boomers realize like, whoa, stablecoins are actually a fucking valid, you know, there's an actual value proposition behind them. But, you know, are you going to be able to buy sub 100? I mean, it's totally within reason, man. But can I predict that? I don't have that ability. Thoughts on Pump? I haven't really looked at Pump in a minute since it like kind of first got listed. Let's see. All right, interesting. This reminds me of a lot. This has a very strong similarity to so many of our newer quote-unquote listing kind of coins that I've traded. So there's the good new coins, and then there's the bad new coins, which most coins are gonna 90+% are gonna be the bad new coins. What you're looking at is a good new coin, as I would define it, right? So this would be the big booty bottom coins of the world. The first coin I ever really coined that on and traded it really effectively was Aptos. Aptos was the first monster big booty coin. You know, came out, dumped, listed, rounded out, ran up 600%, sparked an altcoin season in crypto. What was the ticker that we were even looking at? Pump. I would say Pump looks like it's on the similar trajectory, right? The only reason why I would be super, optimistic about this token price going up is if, does Pump have a buyback incentive program, right? Are they spending a ton of their fees and profits to buy this coin? If that's, if that's the case, then you buy dips on this thing probably. If this thing has no buyback incentive, then I would never touch this thing, basically. I would be very, very skeptical about any, thing I'm really doing with lower cap alts though right now. SPX 69. So I like this coin. I don't know what the chart looks like right now. Yeah, I think this coin is probably going to be a winner in Q4. So there you go. I don't own any of it. It's at the top of my list for a reason though. This is one of the memes that I'm probably going to add to. It's just a nuance to when I'm trying to get the timing right on it, Timing really, really, really matters with altcoins, my friends. That's what CT fails to teach you. Look at Tau. Yeah, we could look at Tau. Looks like ass, There's no local momentum in 2025. 2025 is, downtrending year, if anything. So this looks like piss. I would expect that, could probably see lower prices this year. This chart looks like, pretty rough though. Classic listing into big booty run up. Classic pattern, right? We see this on so many coins. And now it's probably set to do the euthanasia roller coaster. That is what I look at this coin, and I don't have anything to tell me this other than, you know, my gut. It's probably about to euthanasia roller coaster people to death, you know? Just doing this. I'll keep this on the chart so we can come back to it in the future, and I could either be him or Shim. No, a bunch of people in their early 20s, and it's nowhere near as cringe for them than it was for those older than 20. That makes a lot of sense. People that are like the millennial or like whatever's right after millennial, right? 25 plus, like those are the guys that have already come in and got their ass whooped by crypto, and there's like, that shit's all scams. Some guy that's like 20 years old, you know, hasn't had the opportunity to get his ass whooped by crypto, and he's too stupid and naive to even think that it's going to happen. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Your average 20-year-old probably thinks more optimistically about crypto than your average 30-year-old. That seems valid. Yeah, I might come into Doc stream and troll, but I never tell you guys to fucking spam my chat with more tickers. That's crazy. This guy's gonna get banned. Type of car do you drive? Guys aren't ready for this flex. I drive a 24-year-old truck, and I'm fucking proud of it. Fuck buying a new car. I could go buy any car in the world that I ever wanted, and I am not really rushing to do so. Average Zoomer is fully onboarded with the idea of digital money. Yeah, that's valid too, right? They grew up with Fortnite V-Bucks and shit like that. I'm really getting tired of doing tickers, guys, so we're gonna be done with tickers here soon. I'll do a couple more. I'm not a fucking, you know, I'm too rich to be a ticker bot, honestly. This is not, there's something very, very wrong about this. I'm not looking at World Liberty. What else was the other one? ENA. I can do probably a more of a rundown on ENA. Although I'm probably going to FUD this coin, though, because... So look, my understanding with ENA is that fundamentally this coin's pretty valid. The structure of the trend had me pretty skeptical, but it's showing some life. I don't know what I'm supposed to say about this coin, you know. I would say if you spent the time reading the backbone of like how smart this team is, right? So my smart friends tell me like this has a fantastic team and this is a great product, blah blah blah. If you're a nerd and you like, care about that stuff, betting on this because of the fundamentals is probably pretty valid. I would say though that if you're betting on it now at 80 cents, you're super fucking late, because the whole insider team already loaded up their bag. So you know, I could see this continuing to trade higher. I could see this continuing to do well because, like, the stablecoin narrative is one of the most powerful narratives in all of crypto. It might be the most powerful, right? So I could see this doing well. I've chosen to ignore it because I didn't listen to my friends enough when they were explaining it to me, if I'm being honest, right? So I sat on a call with some of my friends. I just didn't retain the information well enough. But there you go. This is probably a good coin, and I'll probably miss it, which probably makes it an even better coin. Your friends think that because you're like 35, buddy. I'm not that old. Jesus Christ. Not even close. Regular folks are bearish. Same folks who get bricked when their iPhone updates. Time to bid. There you go. Well, there you go. I don't even know how to say your name. Zero IQ redact. First time I ever actually read your name, even though you're in the chat every day. That is 100% who I was thinking. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I don't know this to be true because I haven't seen the offers. But that's probably what's going on, lads. 100%. You know, I would bet money on it, right? Like I could be wrong, but it's good enough odds I would bet on it. Is it possible to set up a toss that I once opened the cluster statistic on ETH? Will it change my TPO to ETH as well? Holy fuck, when did I become a toss support? Mental, look, the way that works is this applies to most platforms. Your windows will all move together if they're linked. So mental, go in and look and see if you're using one of my templates, they're probably linked together. So you need to unlink them, right? It's color coded, like are they all purple and then they're linked together. You need to switch the colors up so they're not linked. AAVE, yeah, we can definitely look at AAVE. I like this coin. Little boomerism. Well, I will always love. You guys were asking me about how to 10x your port. Well, this is one of the coins that helped me to do my massive 2021 growth, right? This was a monster play in 2021. So I'll always love this coin because of that. What am I supposed to say about this one? So here's my TLDR views on AAVE. What I've said for a while now is I'm not interested in betting on AI and DeFi and RWA and any of these nerd things. I don't care. I would rather just bet on stupid monkey picture and stupid frog picture and dog picture, right? That's what I want to bet on. I want to bet on the memes when it's time to bet. If you, however, want to be smart and you want to make a DeFi play, this is probably the best one. I think that this is probably the safest. It's probably not going to be the thing that goes up the most out of the entire DeFi class, but this is probably your safe play. So if you are midwit Andy, then this is what you buy. Me personally, I'd rather just be 60 IQ and buy memes, and I'm not joking at all. If you prefer Doge versus Pump, if I can ask, in terms of Bitcoin beginning to skyrocket in the month, let's say, or do you prefer Bitcoin over Pump or Doge over Pump? 100%, right? I don't. Okay, look, guys, like Pump is I don't want to call it a scam because it's not. It's a functioning business with a product and makes money and shit. But I would much rather bet on Bitcoin. Look, guys, Doge is. I've said this for a while. Doge is the Bitcoin of memes, right? It's the OG. The way that the community played out, where you have the original guy that developed Doge hates Doge and owns none of it. Everything about it makes it one of the perfect memes, and it's the oldest. So, anytime we go into risk on stages, I almost always have bought Doge over the past several years, and it's worked really well for me. So I definitely would prefer to trade Doge over Pump. Not only do I think it is just a better coin in general, but it's going to be so much more liquid. I mean, the way that I can buy and sell clips with Doge, I could go and just like slam 100K sell and not move price. And we like that a lot. All right, what else we got? Chatters be chatting today. Just Pumps have buybacks, but the problem is the founder is 20-year-old, stupid, rich, and volatile person who can change on a whim. I'm not gonna speak to that because I don't know anything about them, to be honest. I know very, very little. I know about Pump what everybody on CT knows, that they're the casino that everyone gambles on. That's about it. You think prediction markets will be the new meta? No. I think prediction markets will be their own thing, but it's not gonna be the replacement for what we do, if that's what you're asking. I think that a lot of people are gonna go sprint to prediction markets thinking that that's like, oh, I couldn't trade, so I'll just go and predict, and it's like that ain't gonna work out very well for people. All right, just reading through chat. You don't realize how many messages there were. I'm struggling to get through everything. Timing really matters. I think that is when Lux comes in. Yeah, you can get lucky with timing, but it can be skill too, I like to attribute a lot of what I've done to luck because it keeps me humble. But it would be dishonest to say, or it would be truly, it's not the truth to say that how I've timed alts in the past was luck every time, because it's not. It's like I am really good at trading Bitcoin, and that helps me know when to buy alts. So it can be luck. You can use luck to time memes, but it's not the only way. You can do it with skill, 100%. I mean, I've done it in the Paragon so many times now. I know it's doable. Wrong timing can mess up your trade, make you doubt your conviction, especially with alts, 100%. That's why I preach these lessons, right? Because I have already fucked up many times, so I learned not to. What type of shoes do you walk in? Let's see, we got some Adidas over there. I got some Converse. That's all I'm seeing right now. I see 3 pairs of Adidas slides because I'm that guy apparently. And a pair of Converse. Why don't you have a Lambo where you can stand, or an Instagram where you can stand in front of your Lambo with a bunch of cash and get many followers? You're right, bro. I should definitely start that up. You check Sui? You know what? I kind of want to check Sui, actually. I haven't looked at Sui in a minute. Let's see what's going on. Ooh. Okay. I like this trend structure going on, right? We like this. What I don't like is the fact that, right, it's, you know, there's clearly resistance. There's a lot of supply up here. You know, it's making lower lows. Don't like that. Very much triangle memeing. I don't know, guys. Here's what I'll say is that, like, my thoughts on Sui have always been that this is very much a VC scam kind of coin, which means you probably want to bet on it, right? Because VC scam coins, they got to go up and dump on people somehow. Don't get sold on the dream of this becoming a significant layer 1 ever, though. Always buy this and then sell it to other people. Don't hold on to it. This one's going to be much worse. Last time I looked at this, I thought it looked abysmal. Yeah, this thing looks like piss. So there you go. Local trend structuring is okay right here, but the macro downtrend, you know, without some sort of, you know, like kind of informational edge around, you know, they're working on releasing this thing next, right? That's going to pump the coin. Like, just off the chart alone, it looks like shit. What are your smart friends shilling? I haven't gotten any good shills recently, probably. Also, I normally keep those things to myself. ENA being pushed up because they are doing super large buybacks. I don't know about fundamentals, but it's worth chasing buy pressure even if it's all bullshit. 100%. It's like the same argument of why do you want to be long Bitcoin when everybody's, you know, when every ETF and treasury company's buying it? Maybe one day some of these treasury companies are going to blow up and, you know, create a massive bear market, but before that happens, they're going to make the number go up. Why do you want to know my age, Federino? Any future coins that you're excited on? Not really, bro. Outside of what I'm holding, the only things that I'm kind of interested in are Hype and SPX. Is posting on Twitter worth the effort? Good question. I think that as time goes on, it becomes less, right? So what is going on? Holy shit. If this is time, right, and then this is the value that you get from your time spent, right? As time goes on, the value does diminish for your contributions to the space. I think at the beginning, when you haven't put a lot of time in, the value that you get from interacting on Twitter can be great. I mean, I've made lifelong friends, you know, people that I have true friendships with. I've created businesses with people, cooked up all sorts of ideas, made tools, improved my systems from interacting with people. So there's a lot of good that can come from it. There's bad too, as everyone's aware. But the main reason why I continue to try for Twitter is not necessarily about the reward that I'm going to get for it, because I don't really care that much. It's just about trying to keep CT what it once was, because when I came into this space, I really appreciate like the opportunities that I was given, and you know that it was a cool thing to belong to for a long time. I still feel that way, even though everyone else is crybaby pee pants about it. I still feel like CT is a cool thing that I get to belong to. So I do my part to kind of keep it alive, you know, and try to contribute in a positive way. I don't know what my life would have looked like if CT didn't exist, you know? I think my life would probably be a lot worse in some ways. Certainly wouldn't have made it to where I'm at without CT. And it's not like CT did the work for me or made it easy per se, but you know, I don't know. It just gave me something to be connected to during the process. Well, I'll figure out how to unblock you. I'm pretty sure you must have violated terms on fucking YouTube because we don't block people ever. Later, Nelly. Fed in the chat asking about my shoes and my cars. I know, guys. It's crazy. Ask my dick length next. Of course, I have no friends in real life. Federino confirmed. Levels the bid on SPX. All right, guys. I'm kind of. It's time to unwind the charting and stuff. I don't really want to cover. What is CT? Somebody in the chat says crypto Twitter. So yeah, I got to keep it in mind that most of you guys that are listening probably come from Twitter, but some of you guys come from YouTube itself. So there you go, Mountain Web Design. Welcome, brother. CT is crypto Twitter. It's a little niche within the Twitter sphere of where, you know, a lot of people originally found out and, you know, interacted with other people for crypto stuff. It was a great place. So I made a lot of friends. I learned an enormous amount from it and stuff. So that's where I came from pretty much. Fair to say date with 100K is Destiny. I would not say Destiny, brother. That's a bit much, a bit of a stretch probably. Order flow in 5-minute setup. Freaking badass, bro. Thanks, brother. Very happy to hear that you like that. I understand that not everybody can watch that video and necessarily take away what I'm trying to express. It's probably not the best video we've ever made, but the lesson that is in that video is very, very valid, right? Because the way that a lot of people teach flow trading is very 2020, and it's 2025. You got to adapt. So that's the new style of flow trading that I would show you guys on. And eventually that will stop working one day too, and I will pivot to a new version of it again, right? I will keep pivoting to the new version of the setup until I don't want to anymore. All right, guys, we're going to thanks Jeffrey for the kind words, though, bro. Appreciate it. We're gonna wrap up the stream here pretty soon, so get in your last second questions. We'll probably be done in 5 minutes or something like that. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I regret not getting active sooner. Been here since 2021. Started this year. Better late than never, brother. I didn't start right away too, you know. Scope, keep this in mind. You can look at my posting. I made my account in 2018 that I use right now, but I had another account in 2016. So I joined CT in 2016 and didn't do a single post in the space until maybe 2.5 years later. So there you go. It's better late than never, though, you know. XRP, the third largest market cap. It's still a good play or no? I think Ripple is probably not a terrible play. I'm kind of interested in the boomer coins. I think the structure looks pretty good on it, but when I look at Bitcoin Cash, for example, it's like, damn. I'd probably rather buy BCH between the two. I think that any of these boomer coins will probably be a good play for Q4, though. The caveat is the timing. I think that these things will go up a lot in Q4, assuming Bitcoin does my plan. Keep in mind the dollar store version of Magus will start streaming right after this stream. That's crazy. I need somebody to screenshot that and send that to Charlie right now. Why people asking stuff? Just bid shit. Like you chill. 100%. Just chill and bid. This guy knows what he's doing. That got me hooked on your channel. Love to hear it, man. Do I have a girlfriend? To quote my friend, my good friend Jim way back in the day, I trade the 30-second chart. Do you think I have a girlfriend? Follow Unk. What's the Unk meme from, guys? One of you Zoomer ass motherfuckers has to know what that came from. I kind of think it's funny, but also I saw on Twitter yesterday somebody saying anyone over 21 years old is an Unk, and it's like, Jesus Christ, there's no way that's true. I'm not old in real life. I am old in crypto terms. That's valid, though. I say that all the time. I'm very, very old in crypto terms. Been trading crypto for 9 years now. Or almost 9 years. I'll be at my ninth. I will be officially at my 9th year mark in a couple more months. That's crazy. I just realized my total years trading. I'm gonna be at 11 years here soon enough on trading. That we're fucking old. I started early though, boys. Before you guys start calling me, oh, Magus is 42 confirmed. I started early. No problem, guys. Appreciate the good feedback. Thank you, thank you. Not gonna read all the names, but I do see all the kind shit. Appreciate you all. Thank you. You think if you started today, you could still be as successful, or is the opportunity diminish? It's a good question, brother. That's a good question. I think it's a little bit of both. You know, I was early, and that helped, 100%. Being early was a way to offset my mistakes. So I have fucked up many, many times where I would grow, wipe it out, grow, wipe it out. I did that a bunch, and I think being early definitely helped offset some of that, right? Because prices just went up in my favor, and then it kind of made offset some of my failures, right? So I think it's a little bit of both. That it was, I do think I had it easier than some of you guys. You know, it depends on how you frame things, though. You know, my advantage was being able. You know, I bought my first Ether at $42, right? $42.52, I think, is the exact price that I got my first 7 Ether at. I think it was 7 or 8, I don't remember. You know, that could be argued as an advantage, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily easy to buy shit back then, even though you think it was, because now your perception is like ETH went to 5K. It was easy to buy at $40. No, it was not easy, right? I had everybody in my life telling me that I was a fucking moron for wanting to buy ETH, and then ETH went up from 42 to 300, and then I started buying more, and then I had more people in my life, you know, telling me, oh, you're a dumbass. There's no such thing as fast money in life. And what are they, you know, turns out there is such a thing as fast money in life. So to answer your question, bro, it's a great question. My honest answer is yes. The opportunities have diminished somewhat, but they're still there. There's always going to be market opportunities in markets, and it's really up to you to seize them and to outwork other people. That is truly an honest answer. That it is going to get harder because markets only get harder, right? If this is like easy to hard, markets only ever get harder. They never get easier, right? The only time that you can have an instance where a market is easy is when it's new. So like we were just talking about prediction markets. The only value of prediction markets is that they're going to be super inefficient. So if you're actually a fucking giga nerd, you can maybe go have a powerful edge over there because they're going to be inefficient. But markets only move in this direction of getting harder over time. So that just is what it is. And some of you guys can say, oh, you know, I don't want to deal with that getting harder always. Me personally, I actually like that, you know, because otherwise I would have got bored a long time ago, right? How I've traded over the years has changed so much, right? How I traded in 2020 is so different than how I traded in 2025. I've been forced to adapt as things got harder, and I really appreciate that. It makes this into a video game for me. Thanks, guys. I appreciate all the nice stuff you're saying in the chat. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. You know, I'm just a fucking human being. So don't, I see some overly nice things. Take it all with a grain of salt. Be level-headed about everything, please. You and Charlie learned trading together? No, we learned very different. I met Charlie after I had already kind of had a lot of my really big wins in my life, actually. I met him playing games. And he's very much the opposite of me in a lot of ways. Best coins for Q4. to add to what you said, Bitcoin, Sol, ETH, you know, maybe some Doge, maybe some Hyperliquid, maybe some SPX, maybe some boomer coins like Ripple, BCH, Tron. It's kind of where my thoughts are at. I'm mostly going to be focused around meme coins though, guys. We were definitely already traders when we met. I met Charlie after I had already traded for like 7 years when I met Charlie or something like that. You godless paid Telegram groups, 100%. But you up on your current charges quarterly, right? This is a monthly, or this is a yearly. This is how my charts are set up, guys. The green is the yearly. The red is quarterly, the blue is monthly, the gray is weekly. So yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly. You're probably right. Most people probably don't know who Jim is anymore. I didn't even hit puberty at that point. Top at your 9-year. Yeah, it's the top for sure. Next time we hit an anniversary, it's over. I wouldn't say that it took way more balls to take this industry seriously back then. Yeah, I was just trying to balance the arguments out. Oh, no joke, you were dead serious. You hadn't even hit in 2016. That's crazy, Scope. You're making me feel real old right now. That's cool though to have, you know, Scope. That means you're quite a bit younger than me. That's kind of cool that you come and listen to me. I almost would be curious to hear how you found out about an old man like me. What made you want to listen to what I was saying? Basically, you're gonna have to work more for the gains. Confirmed. How high of a possibility is the 50 basis point rate? I can't, you know, Daniel, bro. I could try to give you an answer, but I can't answer that question. You know, how high of a probability is a 50-point rate cut? You know, who knows, guys? One day they're going to start cutting rates again, and it's going to be hallelujah whenever they do, right? Whenever they start cutting rates, I'm going to go fucking sprint to buy a second house probably, you know? Until then, just chill and wait, you know? Let all these yappers yap about probabilities this, probabilities that. The truth is that the only person in the fucking world that knows when they're going to cut rates is going to be the man doing it himself, the J Pow. And for us, all we can do is wait, you know? I don't want to speculate, Daniel, because it's just stupid. I'm not going to give you anything useful. Just keeping it 100. How do you manage your money? What do you mean? How much is spot and how much is perp? Yeah, so I answered this on Friday. In the Paragon, I'll keep it short and sweet, right? I don't want to give dates or specific numbers or anything like that, but basically the idea is, you know, when you're less experienced, when you're newer with trading, you know, your distribution of, you know, is going to be basically all trading and maybe a tiny bit of portfolio, right? And then as time goes on, you want to balance that out more to where maybe you're even trading in port, right? And then the end game for you guys is to get to the point where you're only trading with like 10% of your money and then like 90% of it is your portfolio. So I was forced to trade with a lot more of my money in the earlier days because I just didn't have any, especially because I lost so much at the beginning of 2020 that when I was trading in 2020, I had to trade with like all my money because I just didn't have enough to do it otherwise. So that's the natural progression, is your portfolio should be a larger and larger total percentage of your capital as time goes on, and trading should be a less and less percent, you know. Currently, you know, I trade with maybe 10% or less of my total port. And, you know, there's periods in 2021 where I would trade with 150% of my port. So there you go. Since we didn't dump on payroll, are we likely to short squeeze Asia session tonight? It's actually a pretty decent take, Bathwater. I could see that. How do you size in? Do you put in one buy or two or three into DCA? Probably more of a full stack kind of thing, man. Like whenever I'm gonna go buy, if I'm gonna go buy SPX, for example, because I think Bitcoin is gonna trade up, I'm not gonna go like pussyfoot around. I'll probably just go buy full stack into it. But I would buy, like, when I go buy SPX, it's going to be such a small percentage of my money. I'm not going to even, like, think about it that much. You know, that question like that requires a much more nuanced answer, and I don't really want to give that at this point, you know, an hour, 40 minutes into the stream. I have a bunch of videos on the Paragon that explain all the scale logic of how I trade. I just don't want to break that down right now. To be honest, I remember, unfortunately, this cycle, or not earlier, I think, through Stoic, but not sure. Okay. Appreciate it, Scope. That kind of feedback is actually really valuable for me, because I'm just a guy fucking, you know, talking to a screen right now. So seeing your guys' perspective gives me, you know, is actually useful insight to see, like, where you guys are at, what you guys see, what you guys are thinking. Because, you know, from my point of view, I'm just some retarded guy talking to a fucking blank screen. All right, guys, I think that's probably going to do it for me here. So that'll be the end of the stream. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something, or had a laugh or something. Shout out to Coinbase for sponsoring all my content. Really appreciate that from them. If you want to expedite your learning curve, I highly suggest you consider checking out the Paragon group. I didn't spend the last 4 years building it out for it to be mediocre. I'm really proud of what we've done over there. So that'll be it for me, guys. Good luck out there, and I'll see you guys soon.